Hi there, my name is Kevin. I'm a 30-year-old software developer from Germany. I started learning game dev in Blender about 3 years ago to make my own games, and I thought about making maybe short movies, anything in a similar manner. And over the past years, I've done a lot of Blender courses to learn Blender, and also Unreal courses to learn Unreal Engine. So with Black Friday around the corner, I thought it might be a good idea to have a look at some different Blender courses, which one I would recommend, which one might be worth it, but maybe for some niche cases, not for everybody. Teach properly for beginners, maybe for advanced users, intermediate users, what to look out for in Blender courses in general before you buy. I should also add that I'm not sponsored in any way from any of the courses here mentioned in this video. So I gain nothing personally or financially from this video. So let's dig right in. So let's say you're starting with your Blender journey. You're starting right out, you have no idea about Blender, you have no idea how anything works. You need a basic introduction to the software. How would I recommend you go about it? This is where our first course comes in. Our first candidate, our first course we're looking at is from Grant Abbott from GameDevTV. The Complete Blender Creator 3, Learn 3D Modeling for Beginners, compatible with Blender 4.3. But I'm pretty sure it's compatible with the latest Blender version as well. I've used it with Blender 4.5.4, it works perfectly fine, and I'm pretty sure it works with Blender 5 as well. I would recommend this as the perfect starting point for a Blender journey if you have no idea about Blender, about anything at all. You need a basic introduction, you need hands-on guidance with the software. This is the right way to go about it. Grant Abbott has been doing 3D art, digital art for many years. He also has a lot of teaching experience, which you really feel when you're doing his courses. He guides you through his courses in a very coherent and understandable way, very suited for beginners and maybe intermediate users. If you need a basic introductory, this is your course to go. It covers everything. It's like a general overview of all major Blender topics you should know about. It sits at about $10 right now with a 95% discount. I'm pretty sure it stays over Black Friday, and it has a length of 14 hours, which is right about suited for beginners. The average lecture length is about 7 to 15 minutes. You can stream the GameDevTV lectures on the website, but you can't download them. And that's an important point I wanna highlight, because if you can stream them, but you can't download them, this means for you, you cannot learn while you're offline. So maybe if you plan to learn while on the train or on the plane, you can't do these lectures because you don't have an internet connection. If you enroll in any GameDevTV course, you have access to their community, you can ask questions directly under the video, and you have access to a Discord server. These are very important points. You want to have access to your community in case you get stuck in any form whatsoever. Being able to ask questions directly under a video is a huge benefit, and I'll tell you why. In case you are doing a lecture and you're getting stuck, you can see directly under the lecture which questions have been asked before. And that's a main benefit I want to emphasize. If you only have a Discord server or a community, then chances are the same questions will get asked multiple times. That's one thing you want to look out. Community support, maybe a Discord server, and being able to ask questions under a video. Also, being able to stream the videos is a huge benefit because you have a way of tracking your progress and you don't have to track that yourself. So in an ideal scenario, you want to have both. Being able to download the videos offline so you can watch them on the train or on the plane, if that's a requirement for you. For me, it wasn't, so it's fine for me. And you want to be able to stream them and have access to an online community. These are things you should be looking out for when buying a course or when choosing a course. When looking at courses, you want to have a look at the lecture size, the total length of the course, and evaluate if it's suited for you. So about the course length, some courses go more in depth than other courses. I've seen some Blender courses and Unreal courses about 30 to 50 hours length. These are perfectly fine if you want to go really in depth in the topic. We will see courses later who go really in depth into one topic in animation, rigging, which are about 30 to 50 hours in length, but these are way too sophisticated for beginners, in my opinion. So I would avoid these for the very start and maybe look at them later when you want to go really deep dive into a topic. If you want an alternative for a starting point, I would recommend CGBoost Blender Launchpad course. It is another generalist course which touches on every other major topic. So we got navigation, modeling, texturing, animation, lighting, rendering, and much more in there. It's a little bit pricier with currently $69 plus tax, but it's definitely worth it. If you're trying to starting out Blender, give it a look, compare both courses to another, and see which projects you like more, then go for this course. Of course, we have to mention the man, the myth, the legend, Blender guru. Andrew Price has a course announced called the Blender Beginners Academy. It follows up to his Blender donut tutorial, which many of us have done, and is set to be released on November 25th. So definitely check it out, have an eye out for that, and compare it to maybe Grant Abbott's course and CGBoost courses, then decide for yourself which one you want to take. So let's say you started with the basics, you have the basics down and you want to continue with your Blender journey. Where do you go from here? GameDevTV have a lot of more courses they can offer you for continuing your Blender journey when you got the basics down. So let's have a look. Grant Abbott has the hard surface modeling in which you do model a car from scratch. Another course is a grease pencil course by Grant Abbott where you start to build your basics down with grease pencil in Blender, which is a very interesting technology I want to have a look at in the future too. Another course which might be interesting for you continuing here is the Blender Creator animator course for video games, where you sculpt your own org, which you can animate later in mixer mode, or maybe continuing your courses in other courses with rigging and animation and using your own video games. If you want to create environments and maybe images, cool environment surroundings, then go for the Blender Environment Artist, where you create your own landscape. There's also this Blender 3D sculpting a model from scratch course from Grant Abbott. This is a kind of a different course where it's more like a follow along instead of a lecture style. So if you want to follow along from the workflow from Grant and have a look over his complete process in a follow along style, where there's only 6 videos in longer length, then go for this one. It's a bit of an older course, but it still works out. Also, Grant has a newer course in which you model a drawing from sketch, which goes a little bit more into detail and is a little bit newer with Blender 4.3, I think. There's also an animation course by Grant Abbott, which is perfect for following up with your basic knowledge. It doesn't go too much into depth, but it's a perfect follow along and focus solely on rigging and animation. So check it out if you want to pursue the animation path a little bit further from the basics. I know what you might be thinking. This course or this video isn't supposed to be about GameDevTV only, but I do think the GameDevTV courses, especially the course by Grant, are perfect for beginners and are very cheap to afford, so I highly recommend them. Still, I want to have a look at other courses too, so let's do it right now. We got the hard surface sculpting course from Jan van den Hemel, I hope I pronounced it correctly, Jan, which focuses on hard surface modeling a lot. So you sculpt a robot in this course. It's a great course. I've learned a lot. You learn how to make your own brushes for sculpting. You learn how to make cables for robots. The course starts off with lectures to give the basic introductory and knowledge, and then ends with a follow along sculpting where you build this robot you see in the lecture. Highly recommended. You can stream it. You can also download the videos, which again, I mentioned it earlier. If this is a requirement for you, huge benefit here. I didn't see a community forum or Discord, but you can ask questions directly underneath the video, so it's fine. There's also this character modeling course by Jan van den Hemel, which focuses on anime character girl modeling. I have not started it myself yet, but I already bought it and it's on my to-do list. Highly recommend it if you want to practice modeling and sculpting stylized characters, maybe even focused if you're more into anime and want to sculpt or model into this direction. Jan also has another course for beginners for hard surface modeling, the Hard Surface Modeling for Beginners course. Great course, haven't done it myself yet, definitely on my to-do list. Works a lot with bevels and how to work with hard surfaces efficiently. Definitely give it a try if you want to have a closer look at hard surface modeling, especially if you're struggling with that topic. Jan also has a materials course you can go for if you want to have a closer look at materials and making materials for the robots you've created in his other courses. And also I want to mention his book, the Blender Secrets ebook. The Blender Secrets ebook is a great complementary resource you can have for all other courses or your Blender tasks you have in your everyday journey. Just keep it open, have a look at it when you're working at different tasks, texturing, animating, you name it, and maybe you find a tip or two to make your life a little bit easier. Great resource, highly recommended. CGBoost also has a lot of other different courses to offer. On the website you can see a lot of different bundles containing various subjects. You have individual courses like Master Cinematic Storytelling in Blender from Martin Kleckner, which focuses more on the scene setting side and how to tell your story properly. Then you have Master Compositing in Blender from Daniel Nies, also very interesting course I'm having my eyes on. Robotic Planet sounds like a cool course to have a look at. So take a look at the website. I'm sure you will find an interesting course to follow along there. I already did the Cubic World script from Zach Reinhardt. It's a cozy box modeling course. I loved it for practicing my box modeling skills. It's awesome what you can do with basic skills alone in Blender. It's highly recommended. Loved it. You can do it with basic Blender knowledge easily. It's very suited for beginners, but also it's very fun for advanced users. The other course I already bought but haven't started yet is Master 3D Characters in Blender by Jim Moran. It's a sophisticated course for modeling and creating your own characters in Blender. I would definitely have a look if you need a more detailed deep dive course into sculpting in Blender. This is the way to go. Though be advised, the course is not yet finished. It's a work in progress. Still highly recommended. Give it a look. Another course from CGBoost I have my eyes on is the Master 3D Environments in Blender from Martin Kleckner. Highly recommended. It just looks awesome. Look at the scenes you can create inside Blender. It's totally blowing my mind. Can't wait to start it in the future when I have time. Next up, we got a few deep dive courses if you want to go really in depth into box modeling, hard surface modeling, rigging, and animation. So let's dig into it. Starting off with the deep dive course, we have Pierrick Picot. I hope I pronounced his name correctly, from p2designacademy.com. Pierrick has 2 deep dive courses onto rigging and animation, which go really well hand in hand together. So first, have a look at The Art of Effective Rigging 2. I highly recommend this course if you want a deep dive into rigging. I cannot stress enough how much I learned in this course. It totally broke my mind how much you can do with rigging, which will help you later in the animation process. Is very recommended if you want to pursue animating and need to rig your own characters. I cannot recommend this course enough. I definitely not recommend it for beginners though. It's a very sophisticated course with over 30 hours of course content in length. Though if you want to pursue animation into a deeper dive, again, highly recommended. It's a bit of a pricier side with right now it's sitting at $105.91 I think. Still I recommend it. You get a lot of content for your money. Also, you get a lot of rigs you can study, which will help you later in your rigging process when you rig your own characters. Cannot stress this enough. Totally recommend it. Give it a look if you want to pursue animation and rigging. Next, we have Alive by Pierrick Pico from P2 Design. Again, highly informative, deep dive course into animation. This course totally upped my game when it comes to animation. It is a tough course though, again, not for total beginners. I recommend you have basic knowledge of animation and Blender first before you dig into deep dive courses like that. So maybe do Grant's course or CGBoost Blender Launchpad course first, or the upcoming Blender Guru course, then go for this course later. Because again, it has over 30 hours in length and it goes deep dive into one topic specifically. So basic knowledge is advised. Still, if you feel like it, if you want to do it, nothing stops you from doing this course right off the bat. Next, we got To Animate with another deep dive course on animation called the To Animate Animation course. This one too is a bit on the pricier side with $589, so it's the most priciest course so far. But again, a course I can highly recommend for a deep dive into animation. I wanted to make a comparison between P2 Design, Alive, and To Animate animation course. However, for that I need a separate video and I'm afraid I don't have time for that right now. But if you need a decision help, there's one thing I can tell right now for a quick help. If you want to animate for games, P2 Design Alive is enough for your use cases and it does everything you need to know. If you need to animate for movies and maybe short films or anything like that, go for To Animate because, and that's the main difference, To Animate has also facial expressions and facial animations in there, whereas Alive focuses more on game animations and only a little bit of facial animations, like maybe closing the eyes when you punch with the Spider-Man-like character, Trident I think he calls it. So here you have a quick decision help. Definitely more on the pricier side. Again, you get a lot of rigs you can study and you can learn with, full feature rigs, and you get a lot of course content for your money. So definitely still worth it. I will make a video as soon as I finish the To Animate animation course. I have already finished P2 Design Alive, and then I will make a comparison for you. Another deep dive course I want to mention is the 3D Cars Inside and Out by CG Masters. It's a really deep dive course in the hard surface modeling, where you model a car, a detailed car, inside and out. I'm having my eyes on it. I will do it later when I finish my animation courses. Definitely recommend it for you too, if you're looking for a more detailed, very deep dive course into hard surface modeling. It sits about 45 hours of content length. You have a lot of content to go through. It's also affordable. 45 hours of content for $60 right now without a Black Friday sale. At the very end, I wanted to mention some niche courses or courses you might not have on your radar for completion. First off, we got Creative Shrimp with our man Gleb Alexandrov. Gleb has been doing a lot of interesting courses. First and foremost, the cinematic lighting course. If your scenes lack lighting, which mine always do, then definitely check it out to make your scenes pop and really improve your lighting game. Also, Gleb has a photogrammetry course in case you're into scanning real life objects and making your scenes highly realistic. Looks awesome. Definitely check it out. Highly recommend it if you are into photogrammetry. If you are searching for a course to learn a little bit more about materials inside Blender, how to work with them procedurally, definitely check out the Blender Materials Notes Mastery, Create Spectacular Textures course from GameDevTV made by Stephen Woods. I learned a lot about working with materials inside Blender by understanding the math behind it. This course is great for getting started. Highly recommend it. Lastly, I wanted to add all the courses for geometry nodes. Stephen Woods has another course for geometry nodes on GameDevTV called Geometry Nodes in Blender 4. Create complex 3D models where you create another really interesting low poly cozy village purely with geometry nodes in low poly style. Highly recommend it too. He also has a new course called Blender 4.2 Simulation Nodes, Master Advanced Simulations, where you can really leverage your geometry nodes games. However, I recommend if you're just starting out, avoid geometry nodes at all costs. The very basics might be interesting for scattering objects inside your scene, but if you're just starting out, definitely not the way to go about. Focus on the other things first, and maybe later, if this is what you want, if you want to go for motion graphics or want to specialize in geometry nodes, then go for the geometry nodes courses. So that's it for now. We touched on some beginners courses with the GameDevTV courses and the Blender Launchpad from CGBoost, and also Blender Gurus courses, followed by some intermediate courses to follow up after the basic courses, and also some deep dive courses as well as some niche courses. I will put all the links to the courses I mentioned in the video in the description below, so if you're interested, check it out down there. I hope I provided an interesting overview for you and helped you in the decision when buying a Blender courses. Definitely check out the Black Friday sales. Not every course I mentioned already is on sale, so it's coming up probably. And I wish you best of luck in your Blender journey. See you in the next one.